Hey guys, so I wanted to give you guys a bit of an update. For the last week, I've been doing the 75 hard. I call it 75 hard-ish, and I'll explain that why in a minute. And I just wanted to kind of give you my journey so far on that, because it is relevant to my mission in life and living a more holistic life, but also like doing the things that we need to for ourselves, like self-care, and how important that is and how much of a struggle that can be for as like a mom, right? So if I'm new to your page, my name is Shanae. I'm an intuitive business coach. So I'm helping you to create financial and emotional freedom. Basically, with the 75 hard, I'm not able to do this with the 45-minute workouts. So essentially, I'll see if I can like add it to here or not. I'm not really sure how to do that. I'll figure it out. Anyway, basically with the 75 hard, like you've got certain things, you've got like 6 things that you have to do each day. So if you're not really familiar with that, you can go check it out. But essentially it's working out twice a day. And so ideally you want to do like a morning workout and an evening workout. You want to make sure you're drinking enough water. You're making sure that you have time for reading or like a podcast or Audible, whatever, like something, some sort of like personal or like self-development. And then you also want time for like journaling and meditation, and making sure that you're getting, is that it? Oh yeah, and focusing on like your nutrition. So how I've been doing it, and like I'm doing it with 2 other ladies, and we're in like a WhatsApp group chat, and it's been so good because like the last few months have been really rocky for me, like mentally. Just there's been a lot going on in my world that you guys are not really aware of, which is fine. I'm not here to like dish that out to you, but it's just been a lot. And like, this has really been a huge part of like this next phase of my life, of being able to like actually start taking accountability for my own shit, basically, right? Like as a busy mom, as an entrepreneur, as someone who struggles with mental health, like it is something that, an ADHD on top of that. And at the end of the day, it all kind of like ties together anyway. But having something, a group chat, has been vital for the success of this. Like the amount of times I've been working to like lose weight and trying to do things like on my own, it's been a failure every single time because I don't have that accountability. And I'm not talking necessarily like an accountability of like, you know, a massive Facebook group, because that also like my stuff falls through the cracks, right? Like I post something, maybe like 3 people see it, and there's like 3,000 people in the group. So that also doesn't feel good. Like there's also a sense of rejection, like RSD from ADHD, like from having ADHD and getting like that RSD, like that rejection sensitivity. Like it's just, it doesn't feel great. And so like I've noticed having a smaller intimate group setting for this has been huge. Another thing that I've noticed is like everything becomes a little like less hard. So like me waking up early because I'm motivated to go for a swim in the morning, which is something I love to do. I used to swim. I was like a fish growing up. Like I literally was in the water 24/7. I was working towards becoming a lifeguard. I had some a traumatic experience, and so I wasn't able to complete it. But I literally like grew up in the water. I love being at the beach. I'm an earth sign. Water is a huge part of my healing journey. And so now being able to go swimming every single day is huge. And then on top of that, doing yoga at night helps me to then like unwind and stretch out my body and just kind of like ground myself before bed. And it's been giving me like the best sleep. And then based on like, so with water intake, I mean, that's something that's a sensitive topic, because like I'm not going to sit here and advocate that you have to drink like 6 liters of water every single day, or like a gallon of water, whatever it is, right? Or like 4 gallons of water. I've seen that too. Like you need to listen to your body too, and like you need to meet yourself where you're at. Like you might be getting enough through your food that you're eating too. Like you're getting hydration through the food that you eat. So if you're eating a lot of hydrating foods, you're not necessarily going to have to like intake tons of water. And I will say that by doing this over the course of like starting it in summer, so like I just started this in the beginning of July, like July 2nd was my first day. And so like doing it in summer, obviously it's hot, you're drinking more water, it's nicer, it's more consistent weather, so you're able to go outside more for walks and all that kind of stuff. But like, it's been a struggle for me to even reach like 10,000 steps, and I've been getting well over that, like between 10 to 15,000 a day without a lot of effort. Like, it's like I'm just consciously just, okay, like we're gonna go for a walk now, yep, like this will add to my steps and whatever, and all of it's sort of like on my mind, but I'm not like tracking anything. Another thing that I will also note is that I always had a hard time tracking my, like, counting calories and tracking my exercise, and like all that stuff just felt like such a chore. And because of the ADHD, like I didn't realize at the time I had ADHD when I was doing all this stuff. But holy shit, it's a lot. It's a very mentally draining activity to have to track every single part of your meal and every single freaking step that you take, and like, holy shit. So what I've been able to do and like just disconnect myself a little bit from it. And like I said, this is like my journey and my results and my thing that I'm like wanting to share with you guys, because I think it's really important to see that you can adapt things to your environment, to your situation, and you can still be successful, okay? So like, you adapt it to whatever it is that you want to do, right? But it's just, this has been my journey, so I just wanted to share it with you. And if you want more of these videos, make sure that you put that in the comments, then I know to keep making them and keep updating you guys, because if you don't want to hear it, then I'm just going to kind of just make these for myself. But basically, see, now I forgot. ADHD, crickets. Okay, I think we were talking about water, but anyway, it'll come back to me. So we were like, I'm drinking about, I mean, my goal is 2 liters of water per day. Oh, right, we were talking about tracking. That is so hard. So I have an Apple Watch. So then that tracks my fitness, that tracks my steps. Every time I'm like at a peak, like when my heart rate goes up, it puts all the data in there for me. I don't have to think about it. And there's lots of different options too, like for working out. So like I can track for my swimming, I can wear my watch in the water, and it's like tracking the distance. It actually picks up like what type of like, what length I'm doing. So if I'm doing like a breaststroke, or if I'm doing like a front crawl, or if I'm doing the backstroke, or like whatever I'm doing, it's literally picking up. Or if I'm just like on the wall just kicking my legs, it's like, it's saying like you're using a kickboard. Like, it is wild that it's like even detecting that, but it's really cool. And then yeah, it's tracking your steps and your like how many the distance that you've gone for the day. So like that's been really nice. And just like even having the goal of like closing my rings, because there's an energy, or there's like a move ring, there's an exercise ring, and then there's a standing ring, to make sure that you're like getting up frequently. And so that's just been really nice to like lean on that. And then in terms of the nutrition, my main goal right now is just making sure that I get enough water, like for at least this round, getting enough water in a day, like at least the 2 liters if I can, but like listening to my body at the same time. And there's also other things I'm drinking throughout the day. It's not just water. So like I'll have a morning coffee. I will have like some sort of like it's not an energy drink, but like an energy fizz. So like if you know, you know. But basically it's more hydration than, it's not just like an energy drink off the shelf. Doesn't matter. But I'm like being mindful of the sugar intake. I'm just being mindful of like the foods that I'm eating. So swapping things out. So like if I can swap out, I'm not like avoiding anything. Let's say that, like I'm not avoiding like carbs. I'm not avoiding fats and things like that. Like I've already done a lot of that work already. So like the fats and the oils that I use are like avocado oil for like cooking, coconut oil where necessary. I still eat bread, but it's like all like whole grain breads or sourdough bread or rye, that kind of stuff. I kind of stay away from like the white breads. Limiting like my sweets intake, but I also have noticed that I haven't had a huge like sweets craving lately. Ice cream's at my like kryptonite, so that's just something that I'm struggling with right now, with like trying to avoid ice cream. But the more that I avoid it, the more that I want it. So it's kind of like having it in moderation. So instead of having like a whole bowl of ice cream, having like 1 scoop, and not like putting a bunch of stuff in it, or getting like a healthier alternative, maybe like a dairy-free brand or something, even though those have a lot of sugar in them too though, or having like a frozen yogurt. Like there's some really good frozen yogurts on the market. So you just kind of learn to like swap things out and just figure it out. But at this point, it's also like minimizing like only eating out, like getting takeout food like McDonald's or like whatever, trying to do that like once a week instead of like whenever we want kind of thing. So I think that's been helping a lot, and obviously it's gonna help with like budget as well. And it's easy to be like, yeah, well, like we all know these things and whatever, but it's a whole nother thing to actually hold yourself accountable to like doing it. Because like I've been struggling with my weight. Like I had a massive weight loss when I was 20, like 19, 20, due to medical reasons, because I had my gallbladder issues, and then I got that removed, but I had to have a specific diet for that. And then I became a gym rat for like a year or two before I met my husband, and I had dropped about 70 pounds, and I was at my like healthiest, lowest weight, but I wasn't healthy and like happy and mentally. And so this time around, I'm doing all the inner work, and I'm like choosing to take care of myself and loving myself. And like, I know that all the inner work that I'm doing is now going to start reflecting on the outside, and like having like 11:11 on the timer. Like, I know that I'm doing it right in terms of like, even if I'm not seeing that like immediate weight loss or anything like that, I'm seeing how I feel about myself, and that I love myself. It doesn't matter how I look. I'm able to show up in video regardless of what my arms look like, even though that was a huge struggle for me before. Like, there's been a lot of like mental shifts that have happened in terms of like how I view myself, and that's like a huge part of what I'm doing and what I'm advocating for, is just like self-love. And just like when you start to love yourself and know that you're worthy of certain things and deserving of like being healthy, and then you suddenly start choosing the right things, and you actually start taking care of yourself because you actually care about yourself. I know that seems like such a like no-brainer, but it is actually like, if you don't really care about yourself, if you're talking negatively to yourself, if you are just have a poor view of yourself, like why is that somebody that you would want to take care of? Like, why is that somebody that you would want to like nurture and like make sure that their needs are met? So then that's kind of where my whole journey started, was really like diving into the self-love and like knowing that I'm worthy of being healthy, and like I can actually take care of myself. Like I'm deserving of that. Like I do need self-care, and like I'm deserving of self-care. Like all that stuff, like that was like so far from my brain before I started all this, because I just got busy with life and I put everybody else's needs first. That's just really what it is. And I know a lot of people can resonate with that. So anyway, I will cut it off here, but this is pretty much my journey. I've lost about, like the update I guess on it is I've lost about 1 inch, half an inch everywhere, more or less. And the scale hasn't moved. I'm not really focused too much on the scale number. Like I've done my measurements initially, and my plan is to do measurements every single week, just to keep like for data basically, but I'm not reading into it. I'm not like hyper focusing on the scale number, because the measurements are more what matter to me, and how my clothes are fitting and like how I'm feeling. So like if I'm feeling good, my clothes are fitting better, like everything is good. Like I don't really care. Like a scale's not going to dictate just because the number's not moving. I know that there's shifts that are happening in my body. Like you're gaining muscle at the same time as losing weight. Like that's going to counter itself out. Like there's so many factors to it, depending on where you are in your cycle and your month. Like how much bloat you're carrying, like if you've had enough water, like all of this stuff literally within like 24 hours can make a difference of like what the scale says. So I'm not even worried about it, but that's also a lot of work that I've done on myself too, because I used to care so much. Like it used to really bother me, and I know a lot of people have a very like negative like view on their scale, and a lot of people don't even have a scale because it brings up a lot of negativity. But I've been able to kind of like work through that and overcome it, and realize that it is just a number. It doesn't define me. It's not about who I am or like the work that I'm doing. It can't see all that progress. And so I'm giving myself that validation that like I am doing the work and I'm showing up every single day. And like as a result of doing the 75 hard, I've been able to show up really consistently with my business. I've been showing up every single day and like without any effort, and it doesn't feel like it's a struggle for me to show up and talk to you guys, and like I feel so good like mentally and like clear, and like everything is good, which feels so good because I have not been in that space for a while. And I do believe that like this 75 hard is something, and especially like I said, I've modified it a little bit to myself. It's more like 20-minute increments of everything because of like my attention span and just not being able to handle attention span, but also just being a busy mom. Like, I only have so much time in the day, so I do what I can to get all the things done, and I do get them done. But it's also not as intense as like the true 75 hard is like you're doing all these things, and if you miss a day or if you miss one of the things, like you restart. So it's like you're never really accomplishing anything, and I'm like, that kind of negates the whole point of like trying to be consistent with something. So like for me, the way that I'm doing it right now, I'm incorporating manifestation into mine. So if you guys are curious about like what I'm doing and want like kind of my like notes, I guess, if you will, or like my format, then let me know in the comments too, because then I can share that with you guys. It is something, it's a challenge, a group challenge I was thinking of starting up. So if that's something that you're interested in, then put that in the comments too, and that's something that we can talk about and like get together, because I think it'd be a lot of fun to get a few people on board and changing our lives together and like showing up more consistently for our businesses, because we're feeling better and we're actually putting ourselves first, but we actually have the accountability. So like it's a win-win all around. So anyway, I'll let you guys go, and I will see you very soon.